All right, Phil Jackson has said some questionable things lately, and most recently, he said that Melo hangs on to the ball too long. What is his intent when he says something like that?
Who knows what Phil intends? To hear the sound of his own voice, Alexa? I don't know. I mean, it's insane. Here's the thing. You just alienated Melo with the posse comments about LeBron James. So you go on CBS Sports Network with the thought that I'm gonna kind of fall on my own sword there. You know, not necessarily apologize, but say, hey, I shouldn't be talking about players on other teams. I should have been careful in what I said, and my word choice wasn't good. All that's great, Phil. Taking some accountability for saying something you shouldn't have said. It's all fine. Then you get asked the question, is Melo a ball hog? You have one answer and one answer only. This is your franchise player. No, he is not. And to turn around and say Melo holds the ball too long, what are you doing, Phil? And it's one of these things where it's the same thing as always. Phil Jackson takes himself too seriously. His ego is out of control. He has a very good situation now in New York based upon where he was last year. As much as the Knicks aren't among the premium that the league has to offer, they're upgraded majorly from where they were last year. This is a much better team. Jackson in the last 2 years has done some good personnel things. Porzingis has been wonderful. The Rose trade was a stroke of brilliance. It's been terrific. So he's done some very good things to bring this team forward, but he just can't stop getting involved. And you know what? Carmelo Anthony has a head coach that will work with him on what his weaknesses are. Trying to coach him as the president of the team through the media is not only ridiculous, but it shows that Phil's totally out of touch with what Carmelo really needs or wants. You think Carmelo likes this stuff? Carmelo's a smart guy. And, you know, Carmelo hasn't gotten his way a lot under Phil Jackson here. He wanted Tom Thibodeau to be the coach of this team. Phil wouldn't even interview him. You know, so you have these types of things that have come down the pike. And Carmelo will say the same thing about Phil. Phil just talks. And he's right. Phil talks to hear the sound of his own voice. And the thing is, because he's got 11 championship rings, we're all locked into everything that he has to say. Because really, for us in this business, Phil is gold. He gives us material upon material upon material just because he keeps babbling about ridiculous nonsense. It's about time for Phil to shut down what he has to say publicly. And really, you know, Phil needs a little bit of a lesson from Crash Davis from Bull Durham, guys. As Nuclear Loose used to say, God willing, I just want to help the ball club. Phil needs to start to use some cliches, Phil, and stop making all these headlines every time you do an interview.